How's it going, YouTube? Southside Fiber coming at you from the front stoop of my apartment building, which is not a very exciting name. I think I may rename it. Some fellows in the TPC have very festive names for their smoking locales, and I occasionally change locales. Sometimes it's the front stoop, sometimes it's the back stairwell. Perhaps this should be the Pipe Pavilion. Pipe Pavilion. Today, Junior. I haven't caught up with you in about a week. I try to do a weekly video. I've tried to shoot a couple, but they didn't come out very well. I also forgot to hit the record button a few times. So I'd just like to talk to you for a little bit. I thought I'd do a month-end review. Now, I've done a review on these two things already, but they were all very new. I didn't know them very well. You don't know anybody upon shaking hands with them. You can learn a lot from a handshake, but you don't know it all. You need a little time to get to know them, right? So, where I'm trying to go with this is, it's been about a month in with my Mr. Brog number, is it the 41? Sorry, just 1 second. Number 41. I get 41 and 14 mixed up for two reasons. I have dyscalculia, and I also have a number 14 Church Warden by Mr. Brog that I don't really like very much. But, anyways, the number 41 Mr. Brog, I've had it for about a month now, and I've been smoking exclusively Haunted Bookshop in it. So, with those two together, I think that I've gotten to know them pretty well. They go together pretty well also. So if you go back to my last video, it'll say a little more about some of the particulars of, aesthetically. I don't care for the little wave going on the bowl because it wasn't originally advertised with it. But I got a few bucks off anyway with the promo code they had. I didn't mind that. But in my first smoke in it, it was also my second smoke of Haunted Bookshop. And it wasn't of the right dryness. The moisture content was off. And you can't really know any tobacco after only two smokes, I think anyway. Maybe because I'm still kind of new. I've only been at this a couple years. But it takes more than a couple smokes to get the hang of something. Also, I believe I was smoking it with a filter, which I don't typically do. I'll do it on and off, or I'm thinking about doing a video dedicated to my filter technique. But what I found out works best with this pipe is it naturally accepts a 9mm filter, which one was included with the pipe. Also, I got some as a bonus from previous Pipes and Cigars order, and I don't like it. It just doesn't work for me with drawing and keeping it lit. It just doesn't work for me. Although I had a surplus of 6mm filters, which in certain cobs or in certain cobs of certain tobaccos I will use. And actually what I like to do is I snip one in half, and it drops right in there in that little chamber where it would normally accept a 9mm. And it seems to work well enough just to catch any bit of flake or ash or anything that might come up in there. It helps catch some of the condensation that if you smoke a little too fast might suck a little juice in there, but I haven't had much problem with that since I quit smoking aromatics. I had it with Orlick Golden Sliced once, but that was only because I smoked it while it was still too wet, too fresh out of the tin. And that'll happen with most any tobacco, really. But now that I've gotten more familiar with this tobacco and this pipe, especially with them together, I really haven't had any issues. Mr. Brog pipes are primarily made of pear wood, which supposedly has a similar density to briar, but not quite the weight. Similar feel. Pear wood does tend to heat up a little bit quicker. That mostly comes down to cadence, but even if you really have to pace yourself to not have one of these heat up. And some guys can smoke really slow. Sometimes I do, if I'm really zoning out, just really out my own little world. I can smoke real slow, but if you're really trying to enjoy the smoke itself and not having to relight a billion times, it's really easy for these pipes to heat up on you. Now, luckily, the number 41 is one that is naturally made, easy to clench. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Rests on the jaw really nicely. But it also sits in the hand nicely as well. Just, I kind of got big hands, but in that little bowl just sits in there real nice. So they do heat up a bit, which is one drawback, but if you just slow down a little and you understand the tobacco that you're burning in it, you won't have too much trouble with it. Now, Haunted Bookshop unto itself is a primarily burley blend. I think I misspoke in my last video about it. I wasn't kidding when I said the Virginias come out, but maybe not as much as I thought they did. It had been a while since I smoked something with a lot of Virginia. Or maybe before my palate could really pick it out in the blend. But mostly in the mouthfeel you're going to get burley, which I am a fan of burley. And the main characteristic you get out of burley is that it's nutty. Which I find that to be very general. What's nutty? Sure, we've all had different nuts. Giggity. So to me, it seems that it has like an almond flavor, but it has that kind of oily cashew mouthfeel. You can feel it under teeth as you smoke. I don't mind it. I kind of like it, actually, you know, because it just kind of clings in there, and it's just another way of understanding the flavor. I also want to say there's a bit of Perique in this. I could be wrong. Unfortunately, I only have bulk Haunted Bookshop. I don't have a tin to refer to. And I forgot to write any notes down before I shot this video, so I'm just kind of shooting from the hip. But I know there's quite a bit of Virginia and burley. And burley is what you're going to get the most of. And aside from the nuttiness, I'd say another big characteristic of a haunted bookshop is pepper. And I was a little, I didn't understand it at first, because the first guys I really paid attention to that were smoking this stuff were Gray Bailey and Matches 860. And I thought for sure I could pick out something more than just peppery, but it really is peppery. And I think that's because there's some perique in there. I could be wrong, but I've had tobacco with perique in it, and it gives it a peppery note, kind of spicy. So I want to say that's where that comes from. Kind of nutty, a little bit of pepper, and it's just like, it's a tasty smoke. And when I first started watching Matches, I'm like, how does he smoke so fast? But he also is a former cigarette smoker, so sometimes you kind of get caught up in that hand and mouth and just passing the smoke. But also, once you get used to Haunted Bookshop, it is a very delightful smoke. I really do recommend it. In the wake of what's happened to Dunhill and McClelland, I really hope that Cornell and Dale are not next on the list, because this is the only blend of theirs that I've had, and I enjoy it very much, and I hope to smoke it for a very long time. So even though I just put in an order from Pipes and Cigars today, on my next one, I better throw in some Haunted Bookshop. So that's about all I've got. Just a little month in review, how I feel about this pipe and this tobacco, and how they go together. So, real quick recap: Mr. Brog, number 41, $20 well spent. If I lose this, I might feel bad about it just because I've spent time breaking it in, but I would gladly replace it. I would get another like it for the same amount of money. Haunted Bookshop, good smoke. These are a good pairing. And that's me for the night. Thanks y'all for watching. Thank you very much to my new subscribers. I'm up to about 75 now, and I appreciate that. So again, thanks y'all for watching. Y'all take care. Happy smokes. Southside Piper signing off.